Ho, ho, ho! I bet you didn't think this was going to happen again, folks, now did you? That's right, it is I, if you remember me from the olden days, from a network that we dare not speak its name. It is I, Bryan Tann, the comedy man, formerly of the, nope, not going there, now, Granite Coast Radio, and with me, as always, my hetero life mate, Shane Tassinari.
Hello!
Always a split second late off of the hello, too.
Well, it's that whole second, I take a sip of my beer, and then I say hello, and then I put it down,
You know what's funny is that you are so Hollywood when it comes to radio that you're sitting there and you're drinking during the show. You're so friggin' Hollywood. It's unbelievable.
Do they do that a lot in Hollywood?
I don't know, probably. I mean, it is Hollywood. No, you know what's funny, Shane, as we are here now on Granite Coast Radio, so we, sort of dispel a lot of rumors that may or may not have been going around after my departure from the Primetime is Tann Time radio show. There was nothing against, nothing against you or any of that. It was mostly sick of dealing with the machine. Or the, I guess I can't really call that operation a machine. I think it more like the hamster wheel. I think that might be a little bit better of a comparison. Would you agree?
It's more like one of those rubber band engines. Like they make at school. You put the little rubber band, you twirl the little propeller, and you let it run, and then it just stops.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, So the rubber band group. It was more around that. So. I took my leave and, dealt with some personal stuff. But then, of course, I found out what's going on here with the GCR, as I will say. And as soon as me and Ms. Chris spoke, I knew that you would be in the woodworks. I actually counted down. I actually purposely avoided talking to you because I knew that you would end up finding me. I knew you would. And then, being the, shall we say, predictable one that you are.
Hey, I waited 2 weeks.
No, I talked to her. It wasn't 2 weeks that me and her talked.
It was at least a week.
All right, we'll go with a week. We'll leave it at a week. So it was like a week later, then here you come. And I knew it was going to happen. As soon as she reached out to me, I was like, somebody's coming to talk to me. I wonder who's going to be first. Because, see, I do have my pride. Not much, but I do have some pride. And then, of course, I already knew that this was going to end up happening. I was already prepared. I just wanted to see who would say something first, and then you had to have known that I was going to try to pull a Hollywood power move and say that I would only do it if you did it too.
I had a sneaking suspicion that would be part of it.
Yeah, well, I'm not anything if I'm not predictable. I'm going to say something crazy. I'm going to do something crazy. You just don't know what it is.
Well, sadly, I'm just as predictable, so.
Yeah, that's true. But the one thing that I will say is that I really, really liked what Christina had to say when she said that what did she say? That I was, quote, and I'm quoting her here, I'm quoting her Facebook post from last night. It says that Bryan, quote, as being the popular and obnoxious comedy personality, and quote, made them cringe with his off-center comedy.
Well, how did you always used to open the show before? What did you say the only things you were good at were?
I'm only good at running my mouth, sitting on my fat ass, and watching TV. That's just about it. And that's paraphrasing because, you're expecting to remember something from like months ago. I barely remember what I did 10 minutes ago.
It used to be the only two things you were good at were cleaning toilets and running your mouth.
That's true, but I haven't been cleaning toilets anymore. Somehow I managed to get fired from that job. I managed to get fired from cleaning toilets, so how awesome is that? Oh, man. It's great. I am so good at getting myself fired from everything. It's not even funny. But yeah, cleaning toilets and running my mouth. That's all I'm good at. That's probably all I'm ever going to be good at. That and, being pleasing to the female eye. And I'm probably not that good at that either. So we'll just leave that one go. But it is nice to be back here on GCR. And Shane, I know you're so excited to be sitting in the co-host chair again. You have to be.
Oh, yes, because I love playing with all the technical stuff. You know what they've been doing to me since before this? I've been locked in a corner and been like, hey, do server stuff. Hey, yeah. Meanwhile, the secret is that I say, yes, I'm going to go do all that. And then I wait for Chrissy to get impatient, and she ends up doing all the work.
How awesome is that? And the thing is, she knows that you're going to do that, but she falls for it every single time.
Well, that's okay. Her revenge is. So by doing that, if anything goes wrong, it's my fault.
Oh, okay. So she does. So she actually she's taken up the boss role, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay out of a lot of the stuff. So yeah,
the boss stuff.
Purposes.
Let her be the boss.
Right, exactly.
And
I'm okay with that.
So let me ask you this. Now, Chrissy gave me a little bit of the rundown. We're going to air a little tiny bit of dirty laundry. Just a little eensy-weensy bit. Well, just for those that may be returning, from the few that listened before, how do we get to this point? I took my leave, and then what happened?
Well, one thing led to another, and we decided that we would be able to have better abilities to cover the New England independent music scene by launching a separate network and having less of a national approach, because if anyone remembers us from the last network, they were focused more on a national and international level, whereas we wanted to stay more focused to our home roots. So that's where that started from.
And what's bad, though, is that, they wanted to focus so much on the national and the international that they paid, you barely have anything working domestic. Why you want to go foreign too when you barely have domestic taken care of? And then you're right, just completely ignoring. And they made me a lot of promises, and the thing is, I don't think they figured that I would say anything to you, but I told you every single solitary conversation, me and we'll just say Dax Garrow made me a lot of promises. Promised me a national spot and guest spotting on this show, guest spotting on that show. But he paid no attention to us until we were working with the New England Music Awards. He paid us no real attention until then. I mean, he paid us attention just because, you and I were doing our thing on the air, and that started getting their attention. But other than that, they didn't really seem to care. That comes as rather accurate, or am I just misremembering?
No, there was bits and pieces of that, but that reminds me on a side note, we are working on getting involved with NEMA again this year.
Yay!
So we will probably be back there doing something crazy. And as far as the ideas and promises, I don't know what was going on there, but at least this time we didn't really promise you much of anything other than you got to run your mouth.
Pretty much. I mean, and that's the only thing I really care about. I mean, you know what? I'd like to have, the lap of luxury, a studio apartment and food and things of that nature. But, luxurious things. But you know what? Just being able to talk is fun. Besides, I don't have to pay to run my mouth either. I can just do so.
Right. Plus, we needed to fill that affirmative action spot, too.
Yeah. You got to give a token his spot to speak. You have to. It's a must. Look at Shane dropping. Shane got to the black jokes before I could. That's hardcore. That's how I know we're back. Back in full swing. Speaking of Full Swing, have you been paying any attention to what's been going on with Mr. William H. Cosby?
Yes, and I don't know what to think. Like, yeah, it's not so much that, he's being accused of all this stuff, and chances are, there might be a lot of truth into some of these things. But the biggest disappointing part to me is, that whole, 80s childhood, picture
it's just
of
gone.
the perfect
It's
dad.
gone.
It's just crushed.
It's totally gone now.
But I still sit there and think and hold out hope that maybe it's still just all a bunch of bullshit.
Well, what's really hilarious to me is that you're right. It's like another 80s icon goes down. Down goes icon. Down goes icon. Down goes childhood. I mean, first, Michael Jackson, even if Michael didn't do it, and I don't know if he did or he didn't, I know Michael had a ton of demons. And as a Jehovah's Witness, he tried to stay away from drugs and stuff. Well, they give him painkillers when his scalp catches on fire, and now he's dead from overdosing on painkillers. Maybe the Jehovah's Witnesses are onto something there. But I digress. First Michael goes, then George Michael, because it comes out that he's gay. Then Hulk Hogan, because he's a complete and utter money whore now. And now Bill Cosby. But you want to know the most and I'm not laughing because, date rape is not funny. You should never, the one thing I can get serious about is that date rape is horrible. It's deplorable. Guys that do it should just be castrated with a rusty razor blade, or better yet with cardboard. Repeated paper cuts with cardboard. That's the way that should happen. But guess who just decided to throw her name? Who's trying to get involved in all of it? Guess who?
Who?
You are the funniest owl ever to be. I just have to throw that in there. Janice Dickinson, former. Now Janice Dickinson was so hot back in the day. You remember Janice Dickinson, right?
Refresh our memories.
Oh man, Janice Dickinson. Now hold on. I'm actually gonna look this up so I can read it word for word for word for word so it's understood. Hold on one second. She's a former model, first and foremost. She's now, and I stress former because to look at her now, there's hitting the wall and then there's damn! And she is definitely in the damn category. Okay. Now, Janice Dick. Now, hold on, I'm looking this up here. Modeled during the 70s and all of that good stuff. Blah blah blah. Yada yada yada. Considered a supermodel in the 1980s. She's been in Playboy, Vogue, and I want to say that she was in the Warrant Cherry Pie video. I really want to say that, but I want to make sure that I'm not, BSing, because that would be so embarrassing. Anyway, Janice Dickinson is supposed she was a big deal back in the day, but she's another one that's really just sort of crashed and burned because, she was actually on the cast of The Surreal Life back in 2005. If you remember that, she tried to get into a fight with Omarosa. You remember that?
No, I never watched that show.
Yeah, well, she tried to fight that Omarosa chick during some publicity video shoot. And I guess, Balky from Perfect Strangers had to separate the two. So then
let's do the dance of separation.
Yeah. Die, get out of here. So Janice Dickinson has actually thrown her hat in the ring and has said that Bill Cosby raped her back in 1982. So why is she pulling like a Jose Canseco who just cannot go gently into that good night and go away, that now she has to be involved in something? That's the biggest thing going on. Like what? She doesn't